everyone. Welcome to the podcast. Today I have a great guest on the show. Brock Williams is here. We're going to be talking about his book. And what's interesting about having Brock on the podcast today is that it's Men's Mental Health Month at the time we're recording. And one thing that Brock really focuses on is mental health. He's an advocate. He's here to help men and making mental health a priority. And I'm so glad to have him on the podcast. It's great to have someone with a book that's going to help a lot of people. And I'm so happy to have Brock on the show. Brock, welcome to the podcast. Glad to have you here.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Okay, tell everybody where you are in this big world of ours.
Nice to be here. Well, I'm based out of Florida. My name is Brock Williams, born and raised in Orlando, the Disney capital, the tourist cathedral. Born and raised there. It's great, but it's a pretty busy town. It's pretty busy. I've worked mental health for nearly 20 years. We're talking psych, drug and alcohol detox, pediatrics, geriatrics, treatment centers, group homes. And you know what? I love it. I love it. It's one of those fields that is so rewarding, but unfortunately is kind of overlooked and swept under the rug. Because when it comes to mental health, as men, as people, we sometimes you don't know what to look for. And sometimes you don't know how to address it. It's one of those things that if you don't know what you're looking for, you cannot address it and you don't know where to look. So a lot of these mental health symptoms go unnoticed, go unrecognized, and we ignore them ourselves. And speaking to you earlier, as far as men, when it comes to men, we were always raised to suppress.
Now,
and
one thing I heard recently, Brock, that made me kind of stop and ponder this and think about this even more. When you see those cars on the road and it says like student driver, so somebody's learning how to drive, right? You might give them a little bit more space because you know that they don't know all the rules of the road. They're brand new. So just knowing that, I'm going to be a little more patient with that person because they're learning. Right. It's just it's kind of this, okay, I understand you're going to make mistakes and I'm going to be more aware and I'm going to give you a little bit of just extra room. Right. I wish that there was a way that we could have a kind of a label or a sticker on us that people could see and go, oh, okay, this person's dealing with the loss of a parent or a partner or someone special. This person just lost their job.
Yes.
And they're having a bad day, and I'm going to treat them a little different because now I know that they're dealing with something. Instead of just being, busy, get out of my way, it's all about me. It's like, wait, Brock is dealing with something. And
Yes.
if I could just know that, I would probably give Brock a little more space. I just wish there was a way that we could do that for each other.
Yeah.
It's a big ask, I know, but
That would be very helpful because it's what is actually needed and required. Because we live in a day and age, in America, we're very, maybe a little impatient. We live in a society of me, I, you. We don't think about other people and take that into consideration. And unfortunately, people these days are pushed to the edge, pushed to the ground, weighed down, pushed to the edge too often, too many times. And we're in this fight or flight mode, and you never know what side of the coin you're going to get. So that's why when I tell people, don't put your hand on anybody because there's no 100% guarantee they won't put hands on you. And it's all about respect, until it becomes about accountability. That's something that we don't talk about in society. So let's, be patient with people. I mean, ever since January, there have been 70,000 men suicides in this country. 70,000. That's dozens, hundreds per week, and had they been treated properly, had they taken their mental health into account, had they gotten the proper treatment, had someone stopped and talked to them, those lives could have been saved. And it's really difficult because there was a poll that came out a couple years ago that said 63% of men of color see getting help, see getting treatment as a weakness. They see it as a weakness. But, why is that? Why is that the situation? And people of color are twice as likely to have mental health issues and 3 times as likely to develop addiction. But we can
Yeah.
go into that segment later on. But I would like to think that we can just lower our guard, lower our pride for a little bit, and reach out and get help. When it comes to our mental health, we don't want to wait. The longer we wait, the worse it gets. So the sooner we take our health into accountability, even if it's something as drinking water more active, like more daily, or getting proper sleep. I'm trying to lean off of coffee myself, but I still love a good cup. It might not be as strong, but I still drink it. So we need to take our mental health and our physical health into accountability to live a better life so we can help someone else. Because we're no good to
So,
someone
Brock,
else if we're
there's
no good to
someone listening to
ourselves.
this. They're a man of color. They hear your words and go, wow, it's like he's talking to me. Like, they're struggling with this. They're trying to put all the pieces together, trying to put up a good front. They want people to see them as a strong person so people can count on them, and they don't want to let their weaknesses show. What's your words of wisdom to somebody who's listening to your words going, yeah, that's exactly how I feel. Like, I live a life of quiet desperation and nobody knows what I'm dealing with. How would you speak into their life? What would you say to them?
You know what? The first thing I would say is, yes, as a Black man myself, my brand is designed to treat other men of color, but I like to think that if it does such wonders and helps men of color, then I like to believe that it's good enough for every other man out there. Black,
Yay.
white, Spanish,
Yeah.
Canadian, Brazilian, you know, um, French, British, men in general. There's still a platform that we all stand on together. And yeah, our cultures might divide us, but we're still standing on that same culture of a man together. And, I would tell them that if you don't know how you're feeling, first thing I would do is write them down. Write them down, first of all. Keep a track record of how you're feeling and what you felt this day or that day or when you got off from work. And the second thing I would do is I would Google those symptoms.
Yeah.
We're on our phone all day. Let's put it to good use. You know what? Feeling of anxiety and mood swings and brain fog. And had someone told me when I was younger what I was feeling, because I grew up kind of an emotional kid because I didn't know what I was feeling at the time. Come to find out, if I had known back then, I could have treated it. It was, come to find out, diabetes runs in my family, anxiety, high blood pressure, sickle cell, and thyroid issue and kidney issues. So had I known these things, I could have treated the symptoms early on. So I would tell men that, Google those symptoms and see what comes up. And you know what, if you're not sure, you can Google blood pressure charts and it'll show you the level that you're at. And what you could also do is go to CVS, go to Walmart, go to Ecker Drugstore, go to these pharmacies and put your arm in that blood pressure cup and check those monitor those numbers. Taking your health into accountability is so serious. We're in a medical crisis right now. Drink water. There are also support groups you can look into that are online for men. Group chats for men. YouTube. There are different things, um, channels of expression that you can speak about to other men going through the same situation you are. But in order to treat the symptom, you have to know what you're treating. So getting knowledge about the symptoms you're
feeling. Talk a little bit more about your book as well, Brock. Like, why is this book in the world? Why do we need this? What was the spark to write this?
It's funny. First of all, I've always wanted to be a writer. I've always loved writing, but I did not know how to write it because, I wasn't taught. I wasn't taught how to really channel that. And I've always loved writing poetry. Like even as a kid, I loved Louis Royo and Boris Vallejo, these like fantasy artists, and I'm a pretty big Marvel DC head, I'm telling you. So I've always lived and took acting classes and writing classes and barbershop and orchestra. I lived in a I don't say a fantasy realm, but those were the reliefs that I had to really help me. And I've always loved poetry. So I really writing this poetic memoir about mental health and, loneliness and depression, but also about coming out the other side. And this book, the subtitle is Greatness Stands Alone. And I believe that as men, if we can survive the storm, we're standing on greatness. We are greatness. We made it this far in life. Some people don't even make it that far. So I wanted to really channel and express myself through a platform of certain emotion, because as men, we're ocean of emotion. We're ocean of emotion, and it's only until we figure out how to express ourselves can we help ourselves. So this book, Shake the Dust Off Your Soul, really speaks about, going through the trials of life and coming out resilient. And poetry is one of those, it's one of those things that, oh man, you write poetry? I said, yeah, but didn't you write that poetry love note to your girl on Valentine's Day? So how bad is it really? She liked it, didn't she? She liked it. Yeah, she did. Yeah, she did. So when it comes to poetry, I'm a poetry head. So I believe that if this could work for me, this can work for other men also, because the art of expression is resilience and knowing how you feel. So that's why this book talks about mental health and culture and greatness and trial and tribulation, because these are the things that men deal with on a daily basis. And I'm actually writing part 2, but it didn't stop here. It did not stop here. Shake the Dust Off Your Soul, the book was written a couple years ago, and I was really just found myself trapped. And this was during the George Floyd movement. And I was at home, and they were rioting and looting, not far from my house. And I ran out of my anxiety medication. And I was really going through it. So I just stayed inside, didn't go anywhere, writing. That's all I did. And you look on TV and social media, you see the marches and protests around the world, from London to Africa to Brazil to Paris, London, California, Orlando. They were, and my friends were like, come on, man, let's go protest. I'm like, no, I can't. That's an overstimulation for me. I'm not in a good headspace as it is. That's going to be a very bad idea. And all I saw for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks were the protests and the riots and the police and the dogs. And, they had tanks going down the street of California. And I remember when George Floyd died, the entire video was 9 minutes long. And I saw it. I saw the whole video. The whole video. This could have been avoided. So it was one of those times where I had nothing but time. I needed to really kind of express. So, but I also went on to write after working in the field for almost 20 years, writing self-help books and self-love books and taking a journey through life. And Shake the Dust Off Your Soul was the first one that I ever wrote, and I went deep and I went far into it. I went far. I probably went a little too far, but I wanted to be truthful and I wanted to be honest, not just with myself, but also my readers. So this book is on Gum Road, like chewing gum and the road. That it's a weird name, but it's the electronic commerce platform. So if you type in Gum Road and Shake the Dust Off Your Soul, you'll find this book, but you'll also find my other ebooks that I've written. And because if men are to heal, they have to know how they feel, but they also have a channel of an outlet to express themselves. So mine was poetry. And I wanted it to be simple and easy to read and not those 30-page long poems and, illustration. I wanted it to be short, sweet, and simple and easy to process and understand, because men need to know how they feel, but more importantly, they need to express it, because we suppress ourselves for so long and we're doing more harm than good. Sorry, I don't mean to
If
drag
something
that
happened
out,
and somebody
but
came in and took away your ability to write poetry, your ability to write your books, and all the things you're doing, and they took that piece away from you, what would be left for you? It sounds like this is really important to you, right?
Music. Yeah, because
Yeah.
music is music. It would be music, but writing is books and knowledge and books and writing is immortality. It's immortality. And there would always be a voice, a voice. And that's why it's called art, because art comes in so many different channels of writing and poetry and music and instruments. I can turn on a jazz song right now with no words, be complete 60s jazz instrumental, and my heart will be soaring. That's the art of expression. Okay. So if I wasn't writing, it would definitely be music.
Somebody grabs a copy of Shake the Dust Off Your Soul, and they're sitting there at the park. They haven't opened it yet. They're just sitting there relaxing. You walk by, you see the book sitting beside them on the bench. You sit down beside them, move the book over a little bit, and you get a chance to talk to a new reader who just got the book. They haven't even started reading. What's your message to them sitting on that bench beside them before they start reading this book?
I would definitely say you are greatness within a world. And you're about to take a journey. That's exactly what I would say. Every page is a story. Every page is a message. I actually wrote one. Was it page 117? It's called Fire. It says, sweat off my back, strength from the heavens, fire from the earth, resilience from the universe, boldness of the ancestors, glory be thy name. Give your all till the day you die, and no one will ever say you didn't try. Yeah. This is page 117. It's called Fire, and the book, Shake the Dust Off Your Soul, that is on Gumroad. But you can also find the link on the Instagram page. There's a link where you go down to ebook tools. It'll show you all the other books that I've written. It'll take you to the Gumroad platform, and this one is called Reality. This is on page 93. There's tired, stressed, anxious, pushed to the edge. Oh, this is one of my favorites. Giving ourselves just enough hope to make it another day. And these are things that we go through every single day. So that's why when Friday comes, it's like, oh, yeah. But then Monday morning, you're back on that same bandwagon. You're in a loop. You're in a time loop. And you know what? And why wait for another day? Live each day. You know what? Don't wait. Don't wait. And sometimes we need to remove ourselves from the situation. Sometimes, we have to help ourselves before we help someone else. And this one is called Harmony. On page 60, it says, their afflictions are not yours. Stand down. Remove yourself. There are times when we help people, and there are times when we don't, because sometimes they're not ready to learn the lesson that you're trying to give them. And sometimes they haven't developed the strength and the knowledge and the wisdom that'll accumulate that strength needed to handle that situation. So sometimes we have to know when to remove ourselves. And distance is often needed more than people realize, because people grow at their own pace and their own speed.
That's not fair.
Don't compare your chapter 1 to that person's chapter 30. Correct. And every time you help someone, you rob them of that lesson they're about to learn that'll make them a better person.
Student driver label and stuff, and giving them space. When we see somebody who's struggling with like crutches and they have like a broken foot or something, and they're just struggling along, you see that they're dealing with something. So now you're more apt to help, right?
Yeah.
You see a mother trying to get her children in a stroller up a bunch of steps. You can see her struggling. You can step in and help. But when you can't see what somebody's dealing with because it's internal, it's mental, it's silent. Nobody knows. You could be standing right beside somebody who's really suffering.
Correct.
And there's no indications that tell you this person needs help. So again, you could just be more aware of the people in your life around you and get beyond the surface level of, we did this when we first came on, when we first saw each other. It's like, hey, how you doing? I'm good. You're like, wait a minute. Hang on. Really? Like, are you really good? Or are you just telling me that? Right?
Exactly. And you know what? So I try to ask, hey, do you need a hand? They'll either say, oh, thank you. I need your help. Oh, please help me lift this thing. I can't do it myself. Or they'll say, no, thank you. I'm good. And sometimes they do have it. Sometimes they don't need help. But it won't help to ask. Just say, hey, are you doing okay? I know even on the job, they have programs that you do have to ask about. They have employee assistant programs, therapy, counselors. Even if you go to the gym, they have, you see the bulletin board of different therapists and counselors. They have things out there that can help you. But we have to allow ourselves to help, and we have to allow that person to help us. So I tell everyone and anyone, the employee assistance program at your job, a lot of them offer it.
Yeah.
But also your insurance will also cover it also, depending on your plan.
We can reach out for help. I think some people just need to hear this, that it's okay to ask for help. You don't have to have all the answers, right?
You don't have to have all the answers. You just have to know how you feel. And if you don't know how you feel, write them down. Brain fog, anxiety, fatigue, dry mouth, morning headaches, night sweats, and Google these symptoms. And or take them to your doctor. And hey, listen, this is how I've been feeling and I want to get tested. Let's do some blood work. Or, uh, I'm sorry, Google those symptoms. It's okay to reach out and ask for help. Seeking help doesn't make you any less of a man. It really doesn't. You're a man by what you know and how you act and how you treat those in your life. But more importantly, how you treat yourself. Seeking out help is one of the greatest things that we can do because it saves lives. And unfortunately, we don't want to wait too late. You know, we're in this moment where we're in this comfortable spot and we're accepting the symptom. We're accepting the defeat. We're accepting being defeated because we're comfortable and we're not ready to move yet, but we need to get up and we need to move. We need to treat ourselves better. I would never say this to my friend. I would never treat my mom like that or my girlfriend like that. Okay, well, why are you treating yourself like that?
Yeah.
Why are you helping everyone else, but not yourself? So lower your pride, get out of your own way and get help. There's counseling, there's therapists, there's psychiatrists, there's support groups, it takes courage to walk into the unknown, but it takes boldness to take the first step. So get out of your way and get help.
Something along the lines that would you allow someone to talk to somebody you love the way you talk to yourself? Like pinning them up against the wall and telling them that they're no good, they're terrible, they're not good at anything, nobody loves you, you're nothing. Would you stand idly by and just let that happen, or would you step in?
Yeah.
Right? If it was your partner, your children, your parent, your best friend, would you let somebody talk to that person that way? Or would you do something about it? Most likely you would step in and break that up and save that person. Why won't you do that for yourself?
Correct. Mm-hmm. That is exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And you have one you and one life. So try to do your best by it. And that's really why I started my company, Millennial Expose. XPOSE. Millennial Expose. Because helping men heal and overcome obstacles. That's where that platform not only helps men heal, but also gives little vids and scenarios kind of thing, people speaking about them, but also what to say. And it is so important. And it took me a while because figuring out how to heal, overcome obstacles, tell my story, but also to help others, to help other men heal. So you could find it on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. You see these videos there. How we treat ourselves shows how we treat others. So, be nice to yourself. I must say, I'll be the first one to say that I'm hard on myself. I'm hard on myself, but that gets the spark going and gives me that drive to make the change. Because fear will either scare you or give you drive. And for me, it gives me drive. I mean, when you're down, there's nowhere to go but up. So get that spark going. Get that spark going. And you know what? Be nice to yourself.
I'm on your website
shake the dust off your soul.
And I see your speaker tab. Tell me, Brock, who are you a great speaker for? What kind of event? Who would be your ideal audience? Who would you love to address and bring value to?
You know what? It would be TEDx. It would be TEDx, but I would also love to do panels. I love doing panels because I love getting different insight and different angles from people that are dealing with not only mental health, but this is also an opportunity to ask questions, gain value, and learn something new. Um, it would be TEDx. It will be men's panels, mental health month. Um,
See?
mm, it's the first time
Yeah.
I have nothing to say. Wow. This has never happened to me before. This is a new experience. But yeah, I would start with men's panels about speaking about health and healing and mental health at TEDx. I spoke a little bit with TEDx on my book tour in Africa before the pandemic, but that was a really nice judging panel. But you know what? It's funny because I also like speaking in these little poetry
Mhm.
corners, poetry little nightclub, like small mom and pop spots. You know, I those little
Yeah.
mom and pop joints, they're the best and they're real.
So I
It's
can't
just
let this
you
one
and
slide. You
emotion.
said book tour in Africa.
That's it.
I don't hear many people say that often. So can you please give me a little more detail on that? That's amazing.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. After the book was finished, you know what? I wanted to get it out there. So talked to a promoter and we went around Africa with a couple other authors. And we went to Johannesburg, we went to
Yeah.
Botswana, Kazni. Forgive me if I said that wrong. But we had a great time. I spoke with TEDx. We spoke at the African Theater. We spoke at the children at the school for girls, and we spoke to these children. And these children were
Little buddies. Yeah. Yeah.
adults, and yes, and they were just the best, and they just stood up and just grandeur and just, they asked authentic, genuine questions. And we were just like, wow, did you hear that? Yeah. And we just spoke on the stage. Then we broke into groups and spoke to these different kids. And then the girls' school, then we had another school come in. So the groups grew and we just went around to each one. And it was great. And
Come on.
actually, my book is actually in the University of Johannesburg. So that was a treat, I'm telling you. And I was supposed to go on my second book tour last year. I was supposed to go to Dubai and France, but prior to my departure, I caught
Um,
COVID. I caught it twice in the same month, and it just took me out. And so we just had to just push the tour back. We had to push the tour back, and we're actually thinking about going back next year. But Africa is such a beautiful, beautiful country. It is one of the most, and what you see on television doesn't live up to reality. What you see on TV is like, you know, huts and, spears and running. Africa is rich because the hotel that I stayed at in Johannesburg, so my hotel was directly, and I loved it. I went in there and walked around. It was directly in front of a Lamborghini shop. And I got off the bus, put my stuff down. I walked through because the car lot was next to like a beautiful restaurant, and it was beautiful. And then we went around and we shopped and we looked around, and I bought a couple things from there. But Africa was beautiful. It is so beautiful. It's a rich, great land, but it doesn't get the credit it deserves because marketing, TV, they only show the wars in the Congo and Kenya, or the poor side, if you will. They don't show the truth. So that's why it was so important to me as a Black author to tell the truth through my stories. I'm going to tell you the truth because the world's going to tell you a lie. And I'm going to tell you the truth because truth is something that's always been swept under the rug. And it's been watered down. And it's been whitewashed. And it's been diluted. But the thing is, there is no substitute for the truth. Either it is or it's not. There really isn't an in between, unfortunately. So that's why this book, Shake Us Off Your Soul, on the back of it, it says, an artistic, poetic journey through the depths of life, leading to the roads of resilience. The greatest roads have yet to be taken. And I feel like that is the truth in so many ways, because we've been taught a lie so often that we start speaking a lie. But take the road to truth. That journey is yet to be taken. And I'm telling you something, this book, Shake Us Off Your Soul, it was so important to put it on Gumroad, because that's the place where I'm actually putting all my books and digital. I'm actually, I have actually a meeting in 2 weeks. I'm speaking with the vocal coach that I worked with prior on an album.
Nice.
About doing a audiobook for this one. So we've come a long way, and it's so funny because this book is grandeur. And when I wrote it, I was going through hell. I really was. But this poem is called Communication. Life's greatest asset. It puts out fires, mends the heart, bridges gaps, and connects the dots. It can heal families, persuade enemies, and influence policy. The joy it brings, lessons it leaves, and life it leads.
Nice.
Words dripping in absolute honey.
I think I could just have you read the entire book to us, Brock. There's so much good stuff here.
So, this is actually my favorite speaking. I love the speak. No matter how nervous I still get nervous, but I love to speak. I love to convey emotion and thought and channel the art of expression.
Send us to the website, Brock. Where do we go to connect with you? I'm thinking I have event planners who are looking for a great speaker for their next event. They're looking to get your details. Somebody wants to come buy the book. There's people who just want to connect with you. Yeah.
Yeah, you can go. I would say we're very larger on Instagram, because Facebook I don't know what's wrong with Facebook these days, but Facebook is different these days. Facebook is different these days, but you can reach out to me on Instagram, Millennium Expose. They'll click the link in the bio. It'll give you a slew of where you can get help and get my other books. You can get in contact with me. There's Cash Apps. We wanted something with option. We wanted option. We did not want one or two. We wanted complete option. And there's also stories on there. Stories that I told, stories that men go through. There's it's funny, our reels go as far as relationships. And we sat back and we were just like, okay, you need to be careful with this one. I think, no, put it out there, because this will connect with somebody. Someone's living this. Men live this every day. Put that out there. You sure? All right, I'm doing it. So then, I have to say the most important one that has the most significance to me is it got like 45,000 likes. Like, who do you call when you need help? Who Who's that one person you can connect with? And all these men said, nobody. I'm a guy, no one cares. Nobody. 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 Not a single soul. And it really made me think, going back to my psych days, to a psych facility that I did work at 10 years ago. I was doing group sessions, and a lot of men said the same thing. And I had a couple of guys in the psych facility say, no one cares, no one cares. And he pulled open his shirt and you see all these marks. It was the cutter. And another guy popped up. He said, no one, not even my own family. And he pulled up and showed his arm where he's, tried taking his life. And so when I hear men say things like, I'm addicted to cigarettes or addicted to alcohol or video games, and it really makes me think, are you addicted to it, or are you addicted to the way that it makes you feel? Is that your escape? Is that your door mark exit? Is that your way out? Does that give you the freedom that you're looking for that you can't find at home? And unfortunately, men are twice as likely to develop addiction than women, because the road of a man is a lot harder. So, and addiction comes in many forms. I mean, these days I've had clients eat packets of sugar, sodas, fast food,
right,
alcohol,
gambling,
porn, gambling.
right.
Gambling's the big one because you're on the edge, and it's either or. And if it doesn't go, hey, you have a second opportunity to try again to see if you'll win. Gambling is a big one. Fapping, because it's the instant gratification. It's the instant release. But as a flip side of that goes, if you look at a brain image, a brain scan, fapping, porn shows the same results of a cocaine addiction, drug addiction. And I wish I had the picture in my phone. They're very similar. And a lot of people don't realize that. So when people say things like, I'm a drug addict, it takes me back to those two brain images. Or, oh yeah, I'm a porn addict, or I'm a sex addict. And those two brain scans, they're very similar, very similar. But you can't help but wonder, but why are you in so much pain? What brought you to that pain? And unfortunately, we don't get help. So those symptoms get worse because we're raised and told as man, oh, men don't cry. What happens in this house stays in this house. I'm raising a man, not a boy. Oh, go cry to your mama. I
Yeah,
don't want to hear that.
man
Wipe
up,
those
all
tears.
that. Right.
We're taught.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, be a man up, or your grandfather. Oh, and back in my day when I was growing up, we didn't cry. We played outside. We had a problem. Yeah, well, nowadays I'll
No.
get you 25 to
No.
life.
Yeah, don't do
No,
that. Yeah.
so you can't do that. Like, no, well, granddad, that
Yeah.
was a different time. No, things haven't changed that much. I'll still duke it out. I don't mind. Like, granddad,
No.
you can't do that these
Yeah.
days. Yeah, our biggest adventure, we would go watch the shuttle. We would go to the carnival fair. Like, yeah, this generation just stays inside and plays video games. So you see, it's even our grandparents, as much as they try, we don't express ourselves.
And
So
that's why
that's
your
why
book
the
is
message
important.
is so important.
So we want to see how we brought that back
Correct.
together there at the end here. I love it. That's why the book is here.
Yeah. So when you go to Instagram, you'll see the letter M. It's black, white, and gray. And you'll see the fan page, you'll see the affiliate channel, and you'll see the actual page itself. And this page is helping men heal, helping them convey, but helping them learn, helping them really see themselves.
Excellent. Brock, thank you so much for taking time to do
displayed.
This. We both started our morning off a little bit, tired and a little bit trying to get going here, and you have over-delivered. You've served us well this morning, and I really do appreciate you showing up for us, showing up for the men listening. And again, as it's Men's Mental Health Month when we're recording, just thinking of the listener, make sure you leave space for others, but also make sure people know that you need help. Make sure you share the words. When my kids were little, Brock, I would tell them to use their words. They get frustrated. They don't know what to say. They don't know what to do. I can't help you unless you tell me what's wrong. So I would always tell my kids, use your words, use your words. And I think we need that as adults. We need to have somebody to say, hey, use your words. Help us help you so that we know. Because when we, again, standing side by side, we don't know what you're dealing with. But find that trusted person in your life and get that professional support and find a community that can be there for you so you don't have to face life in quiet desperation on your own. There's somebody out there that really cares about you. So use your words, reach out and and use your book, use great resources like your book. Find those things that give you the strength to face your next day. So thank you so much for writing this book, Brock.
Exactly. You know what? The number one silent killer is high blood pressure. And when I was going through that episode, when I was writing this book, after having COVID, my blood pressure was 190 over 130. So, and I'm just walking around, I'm fine. I'm okay. And the doctor was like, no, you're not. You're about to have a heart attack. That's heart attack numbers. So, you know what? Go to these drugstores, these pharmacies, and stick your arm in there and do a blood pressure check and monitor those symptoms. You can get a blood pressure chart on Google. Take a picture of it with your phone, download it, monitor those numbers. Yeah. Your health is very important. Brock, let's make it a top priority.
Glad to have you here.
You're welcome. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Millennial Expose is my company name. It's an artistic platform to help men heal and overcome obstacles. Click the link in the bio on Instagram, and you'll see ebook tools. You can see the other books that I've written. If everything keeps going well, we're going on our second book tour next year. COVID got me the first time, ruined my life. And we're going back on the book tour next year. And we're actually in development of making an audiobook of
I love it.
Take the
Brock, thank you again so much for doing this. Everyone,
stay tuned
for Brock and all these great resources, all in the show notes. You can click one link and go right to everything we've been talking about. Brock, again, thank you so much for writing this book and for being a great example for men's mental health. It's great to have you. Great to have time with you today.
Oh, you're very welcome. You too. Thank you again for having me.
Hey, thanks for listening to Dad Space. Thanks for hanging out to the end of the podcast. That's a great sign to wherever you're listening to this podcast, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, fill in the blank, that this was a good podcast to send people to. So simply by listening to this point of the podcast, you're helping the show grow. So good on you. Thanks for helping us grow Dad Space. If you want to help us fill our cups over at Dad Space, head over to dadspace.ca. Dadspace.ca, simple website. right? Dadspace.ca. You can fill up our coffee cup, which helps us then to keep moving forward with the podcast, and use our Buy Me a Coffee link over at dadspace.ca. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting the show. Thank you for coming back. And thank you for sharing. Because the more dads we can help, the better. We're all here to help each other grow in community. That's what it's all about. And without you, podcast is pointless. There's no reason to do any of this. So you being here means everything. See you at dadspace.ca. Take care.